Whose wedding do you think we will be attending next?
The season 4 finale didn't just break our hearts and mend them. It completely shredded the original blueprints for this universe. If you thought you knew exactly where this story was heading because you memorized every single page of the books, it is time to throw those expectations out the window. Penelope Bridgerton stepped down. She put down the quill, officially retired the Lady Whistledown name, and for a fleeting moment, Mayfair thought they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But right before the screen faded to black, a fresh, completely unauthorized Whistledown pamphlet began circulating through the ton with a ruthless new energy. The board has been completely reset, the rules have changed, and the details leaking out about Season 5 prove that absolutely no one is safe. The ink on Penelope's resignation hadn't even dried before someone else picked up the most dangerous pen in London, and absolutely nobody knows who it is. This is a massive deal because, according to reports, this storyline does not exist in the original books. Showrunner Jess Brownell has essentially confirmed that they couldn't stretch out Penelope's secret for too long because avid readers already knew the punchline. But this new author? This is uncharted territory. For the first time in the show's history, the audience is entirely in the dark, and the anxiety in the ton is going to be electric. Rumors suggest that it could literally be anyone hiding in plain sight. There is even heavy speculation swirling online that Penelope might have faked her retirement entirely. Think about it. She spent years desperate to keep her identity hidden, but the moment she was finally free, that freedom might have felt a lot more like a cage. She is a master of deception, completely capable of hiding a massive double life from her own husband. But whoever is pulling the strings now, one thing is certain: they are not holding back. The ton is about to descend into absolute chaos. But while the town scrambles to unmask the new phantom, the original Gossip Queen is building a completely different empire. Penelope hasn't just faded into the background as a quiet wife. She is stepping straight into the glaring light of high society as a fiercely independent creator. The last time we saw her, she was taking a massive leap, writing a genuine novel under her own name, completely backed by the blessing of Queen Charlotte herself. Going into the new season, reports claim we will see Penelope and Colin living as two incredibly successful, published writers building a life together. It is a stunning transformation from the overlooked wallflower we met years ago, and it almost feels like a dream. But peace is rarely permanent in Mayfair. With a new, vicious Whistledown dropping devastating scandals on every street corner, fans are fiercely speculating that Penelope will find herself dragged right back into the center of the crossfire. She knows the rules of this treacherous game better than anyone alive, and something tells us her silence is going to have an expiration date. And while Penelope navigates her new reality, another brilliant woman is stepping into the most dangerous job in the kingdom. Alice Mondrich spent the entirety of the last season orchestrating one of the most brilliant social maneuvers we have ever witnessed, single-handedly legitimizing Sophie in the eyes of the monarchy. Her ultimate reward? A highly coveted seat directly next to Queen Charlotte as her new chief lady-in-waiting. On paper, it sounds like the ultimate honor, a golden ticket to the absolute top of the social hierarchy. But if you have been paying attention to how things work in this universe, you know that getting close to the crown is never just a privilege. It is a profound risk. Alice now has a front row seat to every hidden grudge, every whispered secret, and every buried scandal the Queen holds on to. She is going to know things that could ruin lives, instantly making her one of the most fascinating and powerful players on the board. She might actually be the perfect companion for the fiercely unpredictable monarch, but her incredible rise to power comes with a devastating catch, because the woman she is replacing has quietly slipped out the back door. The most untouchable, beloved, and fiercely protective force in London might be entirely absent from the upcoming social season. At the absolute edge of the finale, Lady Danbury quietly closed the doors to her lavish estate. Her grand master plan to install Alice right beside the Queen was a total success. Her work in the ton was officially complete, and she retreated to the quiet isolation of the countryside. She granted herself a deeply earned retirement, but her departure leaves a massive, echoing void in Mayfair. Reports claim that Season 5 might be the very first time we navigate these treacherous ballrooms without her razor-sharp wit and commanding voice guiding the way. It is a terrifying thought because, without her protection, the ton is completely vulnerable. And honestly, that absence is going to be felt in a way we simply are not prepared for. But while one legendary figure steps away from the spotlight, A deeply complex and heartbreaking romance is quietly waiting in the wings. A devastating tragedy has completely shattered the foundation of Francesca's world. Without a single warning, John Sterling suffered a sudden, fatal medical emergency in the quiet of the night, leaving Francesca to transition from a joyful newlywed to a grieving widow in the blink of an eye. And lingering just out of focus during this entire nightmare was Michaela. The intense, unspoken energy between John's cousin and Francesca had been quietly pulling at the audience all season long. It was a connection so palpable and complicated that Michaela eventually had to walk away entirely because staying was simply too painful. Now, all of that heavy, unresolved tension is spilling directly into the new era. Rumors strongly suggest that the upcoming season will serve as the emotional bedrock for what is destined to become the most layered, agonizing, slow-burn romance the show has ever attempted. It is not just a standard tale of attraction. It is a profound connection trying to survive in the heavy shadow of immense grief. And that changes the entire DNA of how this romance will unfold. Yet, while Francesca navigates the darkest chapter of her life, the woman who raised her is facing a completely unexpected dawn. Violet Bridgerton has spent her entire adult life pouring her soul into raising 8 fiercely independent children, running a massive estate, and quietly watching from the edges of crowded ballrooms as her family found their happily ever afters. But the atmosphere shifted dramatically when Marcus Anderson began sharing quiet, intimate teas with the Bridgerton matriarch. Even Benedict couldn't help but point out the obvious spark. In a society that observes every single glance, that kind of focused attention does not stay a secret for long. There is massive speculation online that the intense pressure of the ton will push Violet toward a genuine crossroads. Will she agree to marry Marcus out of a quiet fear of losing this rare connection, or will she fiercely protect the hard-won independence she has grown to cherish? A matriarch finding a vibrant, passionate second chance at romance after decades of putting herself last is a storyline that will fundamentally shift the emotional core of the series. And the Bridgerton family tree is about to grow even larger in the most beautiful way imaginable. The fight for Benedict and Sophie's happily ever after was nothing short of a grueling war. They battled vicious class divides, navigated complex secret identities, and barely survived a massive legitimacy scandal to secure the Queen's final approval. But their story didn't end with a lavish wedding. It was merely the prologue. Reports claim the upcoming season will introduce their most chaotic and beautiful challenge yet, a baby. After years of watching Benedict drift aimlessly through society, seeing him step into the role of a devoted father alongside Sophie is going to inject a deeply joyful, grounding new energy into the family estate. It is the ultimate victory lap for a couple that fought against the entire world to be together. But the absolute wildest shift in the family dynamics is happening with the one sibling we all thought was completely immune to romance. The upcoming season belongs to the single most stubborn, brilliantly defiant character in the entire series. Eloise Bridgerton has spent 4 consecutive years loudly, aggressively, and eloquently dismantling the entire concept of the marriage mart. She has mocked the pageantry, rejected the suitors, and convinced the entire audience that she would never, ever fall into the same trap as her siblings. And then tragedy struck elsewhere, and she began writing letters. According to the original lore, following Marina's tragic passing, Eloise sent a simple, polite letter of condolence to Sir Philip Crane. But that single piece of paper sparked a relentless, consuming correspondence. Free from the fake smiles and suffocating rules of a ballroom, they connected over pure wit and unfiltered honesty. Philip assumed he was writing to a quiet, agreeable woman who would seamlessly blend into the background. Instead, rumors suggest we will see Eloise show up uninvited at his front door, unapologetically loud, fiercely opinionated, and completely shattering every single expectation he had. But here is where the rumors get incredibly wild. Shonda Rhimes herself has gone on the record to state that the show's version of Marina is a fundamentally different character than the one in the books. Fans immediately connected the dots. If Marina's story is entirely different, then Sir Philip's trajectory could be completely rewritten as well. There is intense, fiery speculation online that the man waiting at the end of Eloise's story might not be Philip at all, but someone we already know. Fans are holding on to hope that Theo Sharp, the brilliant printing press worker who actually challenged Eloise's intellect before vanishing from the narrative, might make a shocking return. The pieces are all over the board, and the showrunners have proven they are not afraid to rewrite history. Season 5 isn't just a continuation. It is a complete reinvention of the world we thought we knew. With a ruthless new author terrorizing the ton, a matriarch facing a second chance at love, and the most fiercely independent Bridgerton walking straight into a romance she swore she never wanted, the stakes have never been higher. What are your theories on the new Whistledown? Do you think Penelope is secretly pulling the strings, or is a brand new mastermind holding the ton hostage? Let me know your thoughts down below.